Greetings again, friends. Welcome to American Idol. No, actually, what I'm talking about today, I'm going to play off of the show. Now, since 2002, American Idol has been one of those shows that's gone on and on and on. And of course, it deals with music and all the different people auditioning and everything. And it's still going today. And I wrote about this issue of safety, tying it to American Idol and tying it to idolatry. So what is idolatry? Wow, we could get into that because I plan to do this series on the 10 Commandments at some point, and that we're not supposed to have any other gods before him and any idols or any likeness of anything. So we can get into that another time. But I wanted to read to you the second in that 3-part series on safety. And this is a blog that I wrote when I first started writing blog articles on my website back in 2008. And one of the first ones I had written, which I also included in my book, and the one I referenced in the last video, is this one called An American Idol Safety. So I want to play off of that show and read you as I did here and talk about it, even relating to that idol that I believe is being put forward out there and worshipped as a means of keeping people isolated and at home, when really it doesn't seem that that's really affecting the spread of some virus, especially now. So I don't think it's necessary. I mean, look, you've had tens of thousands of people protesting in the streets, close together, most not wearing masks. And have you been hearing all these stories of the coronavirus affecting hundreds of these people? Okay, you've had mass gatherings, people going in swimming pools, Lake of the Ozarks, other places where they're gathering shoulder to shoulder. Any huge numbers of people coming back with coronavirus? You've got large gatherings of people protesting all through this in state capitals and different things, and they try to be safe in doing it. And yeah, during these protests, many people are wearing masks and they do the hand sanitizer. But really, is there this great spread of the coronavirus increasing in great numbers because of people being out? Okay, so if we're not careful, we can make safety an idol. And I found that to be true in my life when I was going through all the stuff. And I wrote this article before I even finished my book. And you should check out my book. You can buy it online. You can get it from me. I'll give you a signed copy, get you a signed copy to you. And just contact me if you want more information about that. Or if you have any questions about some of the stuff I'm saying, you can look at that and see the story there. But right in the middle of what I was going through, I mentioned something, and I'll talk about this more as I go through it, but I found out that safety was one of these things that people idolized, and they just made safety to be the thing more than anything. Oh, we got to do it for safety's sake. It's the safe thing to do. And so I wrote about it, that being a big thing in my life. So I'll just go ahead and read this article that I wrote on 5/13/08. The wildly popular American Idol show illustrates our tendency toward idol worship. Anything you place over God becomes an idol in your life. Let me repeat that. Anything you place over God becomes an idol in your life. With the freedom we have in America, it is easy to put things above God. Freedom also brings out the worst in some people, putting others in danger. Danger was lurking in the heart of Sung-Hui Cho because he made idols of his own thoughts. Now, Sung-Hui Cho is the one who perpetrated the Virginia Tech tragedy, which personally impacted me too. Danger is lurking in our own hearts if we overreact to what this man did and fall into the trap of making safety an idol. In the aftermath of the Virginia Tech tragedy, many good reforms have been made in the mental health system in Virginia, and many good things have been done to make our campuses safer. In fact, that massacre is still the worst school education massacre, although other massacres now have eclipsed that in numbers. I mean, he shot 32 people and then killed himself. So 33 died that day. I've written a poem about that too, which you can reference on my website, Learn to Prevail, 32 to 33. But I'm telling you, safety is something that people were longing for in Blacksburg, Virginia after that shooting, and it was one of the things that people idolized to the point to cause problems for myself as well because of what happened. And campuses have been safer, and even today, they go on lockdown at a school when there's a shooting, and there's pretty much a regular procedure, and it does help save lives. So it has made something safer. I said here, though, I believe, however, in an attempt to ensure safety, making it an idol has led to a potentially dangerous change in the law. And this was Virginia HB 559, that could easily come to limit our freedom of speech and religion. The Virginia law changes the language for an involuntary commitment from imminent threat to substantial likelihood, lessening that bar to have someone committed, that you are or will be a threat in the near future. Because of the misguided psychological label I was given, though overturned since legally, as I went to court to have it overturned, I could easily be a candidate to test the new language of this law based on what some still fear about me from this label. This is a legitimate concern I have. After all, the label and fear from my not following the psychological recommendation led to a second involuntary admission last year, too. However, I cannot worry about this. I will trust God for my safety. Now, I was actually involuntarily committed 3 times, and that law did impact me. And I told the then Governor Tim Kaine of Virginia, when I met him on the first anniversary of the Virginia Tech tragedy on that campus, that I had a concern about this law. And it was right after that, about a month or so, when I wrote this blog about safety becoming an idol. And sure enough, when it shouldn't have happened, I got involuntarily committed after this fact for a 3rd time because of this wrong idea somehow that after that terrible beheading murder took place, it led to a 3rd involuntary commitment for me and more tragedy that happened to me personally. So I was trusting God through all of that. And the thing that I had said to my children, which is the theme of my book, trust God and His Word no matter what. God was testing me by it because all this stuff was happening to me. And I'm writing about it right here in the midst. So I said then, and I still believe in this time of coronavirus and protests and everything that we're experiencing, that you've got to trust God and His Word no matter what. And I know I will trust God for my safety. When you put your own idea of safety above trusting in God for your safety, you will limit freedom and worry about things you cannot control. So then it becomes you're keeping yourself safe and not God. And while we need to do things to try to be safe, we don't need to try to take God's place, because ultimately He will keep us safe. There are some things we can control, and we should be careful and as safe as possible in all we do. However, there is much outside of our ability to control. If you want to read more about control, check out my blog entitled It's All About Control, which I had written before. And I have it in the second part of my book. I talk about that as related to the diagram that I have that talk about authority or control. Could you control the fierce cyclone that recently devastated Myanmar, killing tens of thousands? Remember that one, that cyclone that killed tens of thousands of people? Look that one up. Can you control whether a tornado will touch down around you, as many have throughout the U.S. in recent weeks? And every year we have tornadoes that are devastating to people and property and things that happen. Was anyone able to control the recent earthquake that killed thousands in China? Remember that? All this stuff was happening in that year, and thousands were killed in that populated country of China. There are things we can do to protect ourselves from danger, but we dare not fall into the trap of making safety an idol. You can feel safe and secure and have peace in the midst of the storms of life, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Since this peace is uncommon in many people's experiences, some might even say you're crazy for not being more concerned about safety. They have to me, and they were saying that to me. They somehow labeled me to be psychotic because of my not being devastated so much, but still trusting God through that for my own safety when all the stuff had happened to me. So they've told me things like that as well. They'll think you're crazy sometimes if you still are letting God be your safety and refuge and not fearing and worrying about everything that happens. If you realize the top priority and lesson of all, see my top 10 lessons to learn in other blogs there, you can say with the psalmist whose life was in jeopardy at that very moment, I will both lie down in peace and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. And that was David when he had Saul and Saul's men out to try to kill him, and he could still lie down and sleep in safety. I used to quote that verse to my 5 children when they were afraid because of some bad dream or something that might happen, because we can trust God and we need to trust Him above all. And when we do, we won't be afraid of conditions, and we'll have Him as our refuge. And there's a great psalm, if you don't know it, you probably are familiar with it, but you can look it up, Psalm 46. And I just want to conclude this in this. Psalm 46 says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, even though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with its swelling. Selah. Meditate on that. If you have God as your refuge, even if these hurricanes, and this might be a bad hurricane season, come on you, then you will trust God. You will try to be safe, take care of your property and things, but you will still have God as your refuge and trust that He'll take care of you and He'll keep you safe, or He'll just take you home and you'll be safe with Him then. So trust God in His Word no matter what. And make sure that you do not make safety an American idol the way that many people idolize things. This second of the series of safety, as I did the first one, the right to safety, and the next one will be on the safe side, and this one, an American idol safety, or all those articles I wrote. So I trust that you enjoyed this and benefited from this, and that you don't put anything above God, and that you'll like this video, that you'll share it with other people, that you'll subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so you know when the next one's coming, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Do not make safety an idol.